Well, happy Saturday. It's time for the weekend video. Get ready. Well, I want to talk about something that to me is pretty obvious in learning the gospel and having had an experience with Christianity. And my experience with Christianity started out in Catholicism, went into the Baptist church, then into charismatic and Pentecostal type churches like Word of Faith. And then in coming into the understanding of the gospel throughout that period and everything, something became very obvious. And that is Christianity is nothing more than a bastardization of Judaism. And so the reason for this video is because I did get a phone call from a gospel revolutionary who was talking about how in recent powercasts it became abundantly clear to him, and he never really saw it before, as Mike and Barris were talking about how one of the big differences between Paul and the other apostles was Paul was talking about the abolition of the Mosaic law, the Jewish laws, and Peter, James, and John were actually invoking them and teaching them to Gentiles, and that Christianity totally missed the point of a major thing that Jesus came to do. See, the Jews knew that the Messiah was going to come and establish an everlasting covenant. They were under a covenant that was made with Abraham, their father. And they knew that covenant would end, and the Messiah would establish a permanent covenant, an everlasting covenant. Now, in the covenant that was made, or the promise that was made, which is a covenant with Abraham, the Gentiles were actually included in that promise to Abraham. But here's the thing. Jesus said, and Jesus is the Messiah, we all believe that, he's the Christ, the Messiah. Jesus said that he did not come to destroy the law and the prophets, but to fulfill them. Now, that word destroy, it also means fragment. But he said he came to fulfill them. That means complete them, finish them, then bring them to an end. Why? Because he also came, according to Isaiah, to establish the covenant of peace, which would be an everlasting, eternal covenant without end. Now, Jesus said that not one jot or tittle of the law can pass without all being fulfilled, and he was referring to the law and the prophets that he came to fulfill. So that means all of the law and all the prophets had to be fulfilled, and he came to do that in his mission here on earth. And he did fulfill and conclude it to its finality and to its end in the process and the work of the cross, his death, burial, and resurrection. Where Christianity completely misses the point is they don't understand he came to end exactly what they are practicing, which is a bastardized Judaism. And you can look at it, the source is actually the Catholic Church, because essentially Catholicism is where all the various denominations eventually broke off from. You had the Reform later, and then from the Reform you had Protestantism, and then more and more separations. The Orthodox Church separated from the Catholic Church much earlier, and all this other stuff. But, I mean, the symbolism alone is a conflation of Jesus and the Old Testament laws, the Old Covenant, the laws that came during the Old Covenant, everything from how the Mass is performed in a Catholic Church, the host, which is the bread that the priest blesses and breaks. He takes it out of a little chamber that has like a curtain on it, like the Holy of Holies in the old Jewish temple. And it's a conflation of the Last Supper and the Jewish tradition of sacrifice in the Jewish temple with Holy of Holies. And all of this is nothing but a conflation of Jesus, and they're trying to marry Jesus to the Old Covenant, and Jesus was married to the New Covenant. But in the process, Christianity being spread to the Gentiles, all they did was spread Jewish laws and bastardized Jewish traditions and spread them to Gentiles. Now, technically, there are no more Gentiles or Jews. God doesn't view us that way. We don't view each other that way, because a Gentile means a non-Jew. But according to the work of Christ and the New Covenant, the twain were made one. There's no more Jew, no more Gentile. We're all one. So, Christianity has totally missed the target. And all they've done is created a bastardized Judaism in which there is no gospel. Because the gospel is the announcement of the covenant of peace that's been established, because the Messiah that was prophesied came. He dealt with sin. He destroyed sin. He fulfilled the old covenant. He fulfilled the law and the prophets, which means finished them, ended them, and established the new covenant. And that all are redeemed, and all have been raised to life in Christ, a new creation, equal with him. He is the first of many brethren. And Christianity just missed the point, and all they did was create a bastardized Judaism. It's revolutionary, I know. Have a revolutionary week.